They said no nation could fight a world war on two fronts and win. They said democracy was too soft, too divided, too slow to rise. But in the 1940s, a nation of farmers, factory workers, and dreamers did the impossible. While empires burned and dictators shouted of destiny, America built something stronger. Not an army of conquest, but an arsenal of democracy. In the time it took for a bomber to fly from London to Berlin, somewhere in Michigan, another was being built. By hands that had never held a gun, by women who once stitched dresses now riveting steel wings. This is the story of how America turned freedom into firepower, and won a war not just with courage, but with creation. December 7th, 1941. Pearl Harbor. A single morning of fire pulled an entire nation from peace to war. In Tokyo, Admiral Yamamoto warned his leaders, "I fear all we have done is to awaken a sleeping giant and fill him with a terrible resolve." He was right. Within months, that giant stirred. Factories once making cars, radios, and washing machines retooled overnight. Ford built bombers. Chrysler built tanks. General Motors rolled out engines for ships and planes. President Roosevelt called the nation to arms not just with soldiers, but with workers. He said, "Powerful enemies must be outfought and outproduced." And so America did. The heartland became a forge. The hum of assembly lines replaced the silence of fear. Detroit, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, the cities glowed at night, not from neon, but from furnaces pouring out liberty in molten steel. The numbers still defy belief. From 1942 to 1945, America produced 296,000 aircraft, 88,000 tanks, 2.4 million trucks, 8,800 naval ships, and 47 million tons of ammunition. Every jeep that rolled through Europe, every plane that crossed the Pacific, carried a piece of home, forged by someone who believed that work itself was a weapon. Rosie the Riveter became the face of a movement. Women entered the factories in record numbers, over 6 million of them. They learned to weld, to rivet, to assemble, to do jobs that were once said to be men's work. And they did it faster, cheaper, better. In California, shipyards under Henry Kaiser built Liberty ships in record time. The first took 244 days. By 1943, one was launched every 4 days. They called it Kaiser's Miracle. One shipyard worker said, "We weren't just building ships, we were building victory." America didn't just arm the world, it fed it. While Europe rationed and Asia starved, American farms surged. Despite sending over 17 million men overseas, farm output grew by 32%. Farmers plowed day and night, tractors replacing horses, machines replacing manpower. The result? By 1944, the United States was feeding its own people, its allies, and even its prisoners of war, often with the same food: canned goods, wheat, corn, beef, and butter, packed and shipped across oceans under the Lend-Lease program. From London to Leningrad, millions survived because of American harvests. One British soldier wrote, "When we ran out of hope, we still had American rations." It wasn't just soldiers who fought the war. It was the people behind the fences and factory gates. The home front became its own battlefield, a war of patience, sweat, and long hours. Men too old to serve worked in steel mills. Teenagers delivered scrap metal. School children collected rubber and cooking fat for explosives. Women worked double shifts, mothers by night, mechanics by day. War bonds paid for tanks. Victory gardens fed families. Posters called for silence, thrift, unity, and through it all, morale never broke. Even under blackout curtains and casualty lists, the idea of freedom burned brighter than ever. When the war seemed endless, FDR's words echoed across radios. "We have nothing to fear but fear itself." And millions believed him. America's greatest weapon wasn't the bomb or the plane. It was ingenuity. Scientists, engineers, and thinkers worked in secret laboratories, building the tools that would change warfare and the future. Radar, penicillin, synthetic rubber, jet engines, and in the deserts of New Mexico, a project so secret it had no name, the Manhattan Project. But even beyond the atomic age, innovation pulsed in every factory. Assembly lines became orchestras of motion, every worker a note in a symphony of precision. The result was more than firepower. It was a new understanding of what a free nation could achieve when united behind a purpose greater than itself. Through the Lend-Lease Act, America became the world's pantry, workshop, and lifeline. Britain, China, and the Soviet Union received tanks, planes, and food by the millions. It wasn't charity, it was strategy. The belief that freedom anywhere depended on strength everywhere. By 1945, over 50 nations were receiving American aid. The message was clear. We don't conquer, we build. Even German and Japanese prisoners saw this strength. Behind barbed wire, they were fed, clothed, and treated with humanity. One German POW wrote home, "If this is how America treats its enemies, then I cannot imagine how they treat their friends." Factories roared, but so did faith. Churches, unions, and families stood shoulder to shoulder. Across all 48 states, unity was the unseen weapon, the bond that no enemy could bomb or break. When the first bombers took off for Europe, many bore names painted by the workers who built them. Spirit of Akron, Lady Liberty, Rosie's Pride. They weren't just machines, they were messages. This is what freedom looks like. As soldiers fought abroad, workers at home fought exhaustion, rationing, and grief. Yet they endured, because they believed that what they were doing, every bolt, every bullet, every loaf of bread, was another strike for democracy itself. August 1945. The war ended. The forges went quiet. The production line slowed, then stopped. Millions of workers stepped out into the sunlight, their hands stained with grease and pride. They had built a victory the world had never seen, a victory of production, compassion, and unity. In less than 4 years, America transformed from a recovering nation into a superpower. It didn't happen by accident. It happened because ordinary people believed that freedom was worth working for. The war ended, but the machines they built never truly stopped. They became the engines of peace, powering homes, highways, and dreams. The same factories that once built bombers built cars that took families across new frontiers. The same scientists who built weapons built medicines that saved lives. And in every heartbeat of progress echoed the rhythm of the 1940s, the sound of America proving that strength and kindness could live in the same nation, under the same flag. Because victory wasn't just about what America destroyed. It was about what America built.